Hi y'all, I'm Angela, and today I'm going to be starting a vlog where I'm going to attempt to outline like Brandon Sanderson. Some context, this is going to be my second novel that I've ever written all the way through. I tend to write adult fantasy-ish things. We're about a week out from Camp NaNo right now, so this is definitely going to be prep work for that project for me. I'm a little bit apprehensive in terms of timing, if that's going to work out, but hopefully it'll be okay. I'm still pretty new to the process of like novel writing, right? This is going to be my second time through in any sort of serious way, and as part of that I've been trying to figure out like things that are going to work for me, and the most compelling structure that I've heard when people talk about it, like the one that has resonated the most for me, has actually been like Brandon Sanderson talking through the way that he does it. Like his outline seems very intuitive to me, so I wanted to try it out. I'm going to be relying most heavily on two sort of resources. The first is one of his BYU lectures, and then the other is he has posted the outline for his book Skyward, I think. And so both of those I will link down below, and this is basically just based off of that. And yeah, I am excited. I hope it goes well. Also, I've had a cat in my lap for this whole shot, so I'm just gonna show her, because I don't know, she's cute or whatever. Hi, Missy. Now we have to move though. Alright, so it's late evening, and I'm planning, I guess. So the part I'm working on right now, I still need to flesh out the sort of world building and the character stuff, but I'm trying to do plot stuff right now. And for me, that's actually happening in the context of the characters. So when Brandon modeled this, he sort of showed the different archetypes. So he was in particular like talking about Mistborn and then Skyward. So he was talking about like, okay, so like one of the archetypes there was a heist archetype. So like, what are all the different pieces you need for a heist? I'm not doing archetypes because thinking of it that way was sort of shutting things down for me rather than opening it up. But instead, what I've done is I've taken my like three main characters, I think, and I've written sort of like what is their goal, or where are they at in the beginning, and then at the end of the story, where do I want them to be? And so then from there I have to go through and figure out, okay, so like what are the different events that are gonna shape the way that they think about themselves and their power and the world that is going to like allow them to end up in the place where I would like them to be. And on the one hand, I have like no bullet points, right, which is the goal, is to sort of get plot bullet points, but I do think that I am sort of getting stuff done, and miraculously I've managed to name a couple more characters, and there's like one or two names that I am not sure about, but the others I'm actually really into, so that's exciting. We'll see. It's definitely, I feel like the archetypes were a big part of it, and I'm often worried that like my stories don't have plot. But I don't think that's true, because like my last novel definitely is like 70,000 words, so like something had to happen. If nothing was happening, my writing group would have told me that. So I do think it's okay that I'm not thinking of this in terms of like some sort of like story formula or some sort of archetype or something like that.
Okay, it's happening. I don't know how much I'll use the website, but I'm doing it. I'm doing 50,000. It'd be more dramatic if I'd already filled this out. We did it! It's gonna be 50,000 words. I'm stressed.
It's the next day, it's about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I've been getting some good plot stuff done, so that's very exciting. I started doing, here I'll sort of show you. You can see what I'm writing, it's fine. So I started doing like bullet points, which is what Brandon had for the plot parts. There's sort of some like write-up stuff at the beginning that's like world building, like character bios essentially, or like a character summary, I guess, and then sort of summaries of different parts of the world. So almost like an encyclopedia, right? Like sort of a reference back. And so I was starting to do sort of this bullet point stuff, and I was having a really hard time with it, in part, I think, because I wasn't ready for the bullet points. So when I was plotting my last novel, I used a lot of physical note cards that I put on the floor. And so I was trying this bullet point method and really struggling with it, and I reached the point where I was like, do I just need to do cards? And I don't think so. So what I've done instead is I just went through and I sort of like journaled about each of the characters and what are summaries of my three sort of main characters. And then from there I was able to see like, oh, this is how these plots of these different people can sort of interconnect in such a way that like everybody can get the stuff that they need to get done in one plot. But I am starting to feel a little like stuck and frustrated again, which I think is totally fine. Definitely started feeling that way last night after I'd sort of figured out what's our goal and end result, and then this morning again as I was getting into it. So I think that's just a sign that I like need a break from a little bit of this again. I think I'm going to start formally typing up some of the world building stuff. I've done a lot of brainstorming in like different pieces, but I do want to try and put it into the outline format that Brandon had. In part, I think it'll be really useful as a reference space, and I think going over the world building stuff again and deeper will help me as well. In this moment, it feels like busy work to sort of retype all that stuff up and format it into place, but I don't think it is at all. So I'm gonna do maybe a little bit more of that and then maybe take a break and do some other stuff. I'm still trying to balance lesson planning and writing, but that is getting more challenging as we get closer to NaNo. All right, so quick check-in. It is Saturday afternoon. I haven't really done anything today, which given how little time until camp is a little worrisome. Last night, I feel like I got to the point where I figured out what the climax would look like as well. Not necessarily all of the specifics, but most of them. I'm checking in now, honestly, because I'm stalling, because I'm very intimidated. I feel like I actually have most of the pieces that go into the Sanderson outline. I don't really have a Sanderson outline at all. Also trying to like not get caught up in like little detail things. I'm just gonna keep doing this weird show and tell. So I have like my little map, and I was adding like sort of rivers and cities and stuff, and then I was realizing that really I should probably be discovery writing that part. Like I can just put the cities where it's convenient for me to have the cities, and so I should probably wait until I've got more of my plot and I can figure out like how far do I want these cities to be apart. And then also the other thing, I don't know why I'm so fixated on this, but I'm really fixated on horses. Because at first I was like, there's going to be no horses. I was so excited for no horses. Like I was really excited. I was like, this is going to be great, and this is going to have so many ramifications. It does have ramifications, including that if you don't have horses and you're at the tech level that we're at, it's hard to go places fast, which of course is the benefit of horses. Because this place is going to be really isolated, and so there's like a lot of economic isolation as well, and so I was like, oh, that's done really well without horses. In retrospect, probably similar things could be done with few horses, having horses be scarce, and then I could still have them when it's convenient. All of this is to say that I feel like I'm getting really fixated on things like, are there horses? And where are these cities? That should be sort of like discovery world building. Whereas I want things like my magic system, I guess, more fixed. Speaking of doing a Brandon Sanderson outline, that is very intimidating to me. I'm realizing it's one of those things where I like hard magic with like set rules, but I tend to write squishy magic. So, and I'm thinking, like, the more that I do this, the more I'm realizing I think that I just need to be at peace with that. So I'm gonna do, I think, at least 2 Pomodoro work sessions and just get where I get. I'm gonna think less about horses. That's a lie. They're really interesting. Okay. So basically I've gone through Brandon's outline and taken the exact structure of it, and I've turned it into essentially like a form for mine. So I've got setting, and I've got the things that I know I'm going to need to talk about, and then characters. I'm going to go in and fill those in a minute, but there's going to be a ton, and a bunch won't have names. And then plot lines. And again, I'm going to be doing plot lines based on character rather than archetype, because that's what makes sense to me right now. But yeah, I'm just going to start filling this out. Whoops. And I'm sure that there will be things that like will come up later, but this feels like a step forward. So it is Sunday evening, and I'm still working on the outline. I'm starting to feel like, I guess, a little bit of a lack of motivation around it. I say as though I haven't been procrastinating this whole time. It's just a lot to be thinking through. And I know that the more I can make myself do this before it comes time to write, like, the better it'll be for me. But that motivation is tricky. It's fun whenever I start picking it up and playing with it, but it's, I guess, hard to make myself pick it up, if that makes sense. Really, what it is right now, probably actually, is that I'm spending a lot of time thinking about the world building in particular. So like, there's so much politics that I have to figure out. Like, I can't imagine playing with a bigger world. Like, everything is basically taking place on this one island, and I still have to figure out, like,
what do both of these courts look like, and then other stuff about the two secondary islands. It's a lot. And it's fun, but it's a lot. Probably what this actually means is that I should finish this thing that I'm thinking about right now. Because I need to figure out some sort of political structure that will allow this thing to happen at the end, that I need to happen at the end, so I have to figure out what does that look like. And then I should switch back over to plot. Because when I look at the world building part, I'm like, oh, you know what, it's going to be fine if I just go in and I figure out some of the politics and the economics later. Like, I can sort of discovery write the world, and that's true for me, I think. Don't want to discovery write the plot. Definitely don't want that. I have 2 more days, and then I need a story. I am excited though. I'm excited about this story. I really, really am. Okay, so I'm definitely back in it more than I was before, and I'm having a lot of fun. But it's really hard not to get distracted by tangents. In particular, I'm continually haunted by the question of whether or not the geology makes sense. Like, I've got these islands, and I'm like, okay, so like, for the politics to work, we need to be able to have ports here, and there need to be mountains here, and blah, blah, blah. My mind the whole time is like, but does the geology work? Like, what are the formations that would allow this to happen? And most of me thinks I should ignore that and just push through, and then, like, I don't think anyone cares, and if someone cares eventually, then I will change things. But I also can't shake the deep feeling that it actually is really important. I'm gonna ignore that voice for now. We're just gonna put mountains where I need mountains so that port cities can develop as needed. This is stressful. This is why in my last novel I didn't world build.
It is Monday afternoon. I was really freaking out this morning, feeling super behind. And then I also like tried to do some different things. So like I started making little like plot cards again, which is what I did last time, and I was like, no, I just really need to see everything at once. Gave up on that. I'm now back to what I was supposed to be doing, which is actually strictly the Sanderson outline. And basically I'm going through my different plot lines and doing the bullet points of what needs to happen. And it's really helpful, and it's going really well. I'm like halfway through the book. And like all the plot lines aren't woven together, but that's how he does it. So that's, like, they're supposed to be separate, and it actually does make it way easier. The scary thing is that this is very long, which, I mean, I have 3 point of view characters, so I don't know what I was thinking would happen. But a little intimidated by how long it is. But that's okay, right? Like, we're in things to grow. It's exciting though. I'm really excited about this story. I'm really excited about these characters. I hope they work. I'm nervous because I haven't actually tried writing any of them. They just exist in my head. So I'm really hoping that they will make sense on paper. But it's being really helpful. I am really excited. I was super nervous this morning that I wasn't going to be anywhere near ready. But actually I think I will be. I don't know that my world building will be as built out as it needs to be, but that's okay. It's NaNo. One thing I will say is that having Sanderson's outline is hugely helpful. It's good to have a visual of how much like he wrote about different things. That's very helpful. Because otherwise I'd go on and on and on. And so it's helpful to be like, no, he's not spending a lot of time freaking out about like the geology. I still don't know where to put the stupid continents so that everything makes sense, but that's fine. I feel like I'm in a much better place than I thought I was an hour ago, and that's encouraging. So I just finished going over plot lines for the whole book, which is really exciting. There's definitely parts at the end where it's like a little bit messy, and a little bit unclear, but I'm okay with that. I think that clarity will come with time. This morning I was feeling very overwhelmed and a little bit hopeless about the whole thing. So it feels really good to have made some progress. Like, there's a lot of people I still need to name and I still need to figure out, and then there's a lot of world building that still needs to happen. But the plot has happened, and that's huge. Part of me really feels the pressure to keep working on this and to like make it, and to like finish or get a lot further. But I actually think I'm gonna resist that right now, because it's starting to feel overwhelming again. And quite frankly, I still have like a day and a half to work on this, but if suddenly it was like tomorrow morning and tomorrow morning was camp,
I think I'd be in an okay place. So, I do want to get more stuff done, but I do think I'm going to take a break and switch to other work that I need to do. And then tomorrow I'll do as much sort of world building and that fleshing out of like side characters and stuff as I can. So I don't think I'm going to go in with the full like neatly polished outline like Brandon has on his website, but I also don't know how polished that was when he started, and shocker, I'm not Brandon Sanderson. That said, this has been invaluable. I had like 3 or 4 false starts, but doing the bullet points, like breaking down each of the sort of plot lines and doing bullet points that way has made things so much easier. I feel like I spent way less time plotting this book than I did my last one, and I feel better about it, if that makes sense. Overall, I'm feeling really hopeful, and I'm feeling pretty good about it, and I'm definitely excited to get started. So yay.
Alright, just jumping in here at the end to sum up a little bit and reflect. Tomorrow is July, so we've basically come to the end of prep time for camp, and also today I was going to work on my outline and I mostly ended up rereading stuff, so I think it's certainly not done, but I think it's about as done as it's going to get. And the plot is done, which was the part that I was most concerned about. Overall, outlining like Brandon Sanderson has been really, really helpful. I think I chose this process because sort of all of the different like outlines and formulas and things that say they aren't formulas but feel like formulas to me, this is the one that sort of resonated. Obviously that's going to be different for every person, but whenever Brandon Sanderson has talked about his sort of pre-writing process, it's made a lot of sense to me. And yeah, overall, I have really appreciated it. Not sure how prepared I am. I feel pretty good going in right now, but if you're curious about how this outline works, feel free to subscribe and then stick around, because I'll continue being here making some writing-related content. I'm not going to go daily or anything like that, but I'm hoping to be maybe bi-weekly during camp. We shall see. That's the goal anyway. If you're an outliner, let me know about your outlining process in the comments, and if you are also starting on camp, let me know how that's going or what you're planning on working on, all of those good things. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit the little thumbs up. Good luck everybody, happy writing, and be well, loves. Bye.